Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
The other geeky geezer.
So cool. And when you gonna ask me the question?
What are you sipping on?
I got a water here. I also have a Canada Dry ginger ale with orangeade.
Well, then it's good that you have a water chaser. You don't want to get too crazy tonight, right? Stay hydrated, my friend.
Yes, stay thirsty, my friend.
I, on the other hand, I should warn you. I did release the Kraken tonight.
No.
So
this is going to be an angry stream tonight too, and you
actually no. Think about it. Think about all this. The past couple of weeks have been angry streams, and I've been stone cold sober. And I've speculated that maybe I need to drink a little bit to calm down a bit. You know, but the real reason was I was watching Viva Fry and Barnes Law live stream, which as I always do before our live stream, and Robert Barnes was drinking. I'm not sure what. I have to assume it was probably a brandy or a cognac, but it looked really thick and really sweet. And I was like, I think it's time to release the Kraken, and I'll just take it easy and I'll stay hydrated. I won't have a headache tomorrow.
We'll be all mellow tonight, huh?
I think so.
It'll be a nice mellow stream.
That will be my goal.
So before the show, you were telling me that Big Al has got a video up.
So if you are not following Big Al Presents, please go check out Big Al Presents. You can just look up Big Al Presents on YouTube. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. His most recent stream, or not, it wasn't a stream, it was an uploaded video. He did a review of the movie. I think it was like Monkey versus Monsters, something like that. And apparently it was, Ape versus Monster. My apologies. And it was meant to be it's let's call it what it is. It's a ripoff of Godzilla versus King Kong.
Boo.
And yeah, and not to give away any spoilers, but Al said that Godzilla and King Kong really have nothing to worry about from this movie. But what he did point out was that the star of the film was an actor named Eric Roberts. And I'm looking at the face and I'm going, why is that face so familiar to me? And you were telling me, where have you seen him, Boomer?
Oh, I mentioned that he was in the kind of failed reboot pilot for Doctor Who that aired on Fox in the 90s that had Paul McGann as the Doctor.
Yeah, the 96 Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He played the Master. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, bango. That's exactly where I know him from. However, I know I've seen him in so many other things. He's one of those character actors that he plays a good villain.
He was in The Dark Knight. He played one of the mafia guys in that.
Exactly. And that's what he played the role so well. And isn't that always the best when you don't remember them specifically because they played the role so well, they just blend right into the movie.
Oh yeah.
That's a good character actor, in my opinion. So he's been in a lot of things. You look at his IMDb, he's been in a lot of things. And Al said, why is Eric Roberts of all people in this piece of trash? You know, is he struggling for money? Do we need to do a Kickstarter for him or something? So I'm like, gee, I wonder if he is, struggling or something like that. And so just out of curiosity, I went to his IMDb, and you know how it goes from most recent to furthest back, and the top ones, things that are completed, post-production, pre-production, they have that little red note there saying it's not done yet, it's not up yet. The projects that he have that have been announced, completed, pre-production, post-production, those and filming, those 5 categories, 60 projects, 60 coming in the next, I don't know, year or two.
Yeah,
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Hey, he's busy.
Now, he was just in Ape versus Monster, right? Some of the upcoming titles are Andronicus, Alien Vampire Hunters, Vampires with a capital S at the end. 3 Clicks, The Greek Job, The Electric Man, Principal of Monster Lake,
What?
Mr. Birthday. I mean, Supersonic, The Cincinnati Spin, The Mosquito. I don't know. Some of these could be good movies. Some of these just sound like more like Ape versus Monster. So I don't know. I have no knowledge. I don't know the guy. I haven't heard anything about him other than the fact that he was recently in this movie that Al reviewed. But I'm wondering if he's just, maybe he is hurting for money and he's taking anything he can get. But 60 projects, maybe he, just wants to retire and build up a nest egg. I don't know. But whatever the case is, he's going to be busy over the next year or two.
He was on an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
He was in episodes of a bunch of things I was noticing, but I kind of, unless they're a regular recurring character on a show that I watch regularly, I'm not going to recognize them. So if he's in an episode of NCIS or he's in an episode of, I don't know, whatever, CSI or
CSI's not on the air anymore.
He's going to be in it and out of it, and I'm not going to remember. Right.
Gotcha.
But oh my gosh. Yeah. So,
Oh, I want to read you. I got a little summary for the Principal of Monster Lake. It just disappeared on me. Why did it do that? Okay.
Gosh.
Eccentric, motivated principal who is out on an anti-opioids drug mission, along with his new eccentric curriculum ideas, make this coming-of-age humorous horror film into an outlandish high school field trip these kids will never forget.
Oh, my God.
I didn't forget. I forgot to say hello to the chat. Hold on. Oh, Al's here. Hello, Al. We were just talking about you.
We were just talking about you, Al. I was giving you a send up for your recent review of Ape versus Monster, and we were talking a little bit here about Eric Roberts and how he's got over 60 projects listed on IMDb that are filming, pre-production, post-production, completed, on their way, that he's working on. He's going to be a very, very busy person over the next year or two.
By the way, yeah, so we got a few people in the chat here. We got Horizon Talker, Melissa Harris, who was indeed first.
Yep.
She just disappeared. Rosefire, welcome. Let me see here. Let me go back.
Hi, Rosefire. I don't recognize that name.
He or she. Actually, I shouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, don't misgender anybody.
I don't know. Or what? Well, whoever.
We don't know their pronouns.
Rosefire has been commenting. He's been watching the older clips and commenting. So
awesome. And Horizon Talker, everybody, make sure that you subscribe to Horizon Talker. He's got a comic book coming out that's absolutely worth following.
Definitely.
Yeah. So go check him out. He gives updates on his YouTube channel.
Leia Plus Size, Joshua V, Zootopia. I was on a stream with him the other night on
Can I just say,
channel.
Leia Plus Size, of like all the people in our community, she's got one of the most pleasant voices to listen to.
I was streaming with her as well. We were watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I tell you, when you get a lot of people, that was an important movie. Netter's Network. How can we forget Netter? Okay.
Right.
Hi, Nanette, as I usually say, and Brian Martin, who I think was second. Yep. So here we go. Good stuff tonight. I forgot who mentioned it. Someone brought up the movie called Velocipaster. Velocipaster.
Never heard of it before.
I saw the video in the local library, okay, and I didn't check it out, but I had to read the back. This is about, I guess, like a minister that gets I guess is mixed with raptor DNA.
Oh my God.
So he can turn into a raptor type thing or a raptor itself. And there's also a clan of evil ninjas that he has to fight.
Well,
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. So he's like a minister, but also a dinosaur, and he fights ninjas.
I love Tom from Midnight's Edge jokes about a movie he wants to do. He says it's got to have dinosaurs in it. It's got to have nunchucks and kung fu.
Yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
And as long as it's got those things, it's going to be awesome. And then someone says, and it's got to have boobs. Oh yeah, well, it's got to have boobs too. Yeah, it's definitely got to be hard R rated, and we make sure that we get the boobs in there. That's the thing that's missing from movies these days.
Yeah, you get to see some lovely ladies in the Dead or Alive movie, which has Eric Roberts as the main villain in it. Actually,
well, there you go.
And apparently, there's an R-rated cut of that never got released, where you get to see more of the ladies, and that didn't get released. But what can you do?
I gotta say though, I mean, I do miss the days when an R-rated film didn't mean graphic violence. It didn't mean gratuitous F words. It meant some hot chick was going to be taking her top off at some point in that movie for absolutely zero reason. Well,
you and I had different childhoods, because with me, the R-rated movies were always either Eddie Murphy cussing up a storm, or Arnold or Stallone like picking up a guy and shoving him into a spike on the wall or something. Just like.
Okay, Rosefire says, Troy Pacelli, it's okay. I'm a woman. It's not okay. I either way. I just wanted to be sure, but now that I know, and now that you've told me, I will not misgender you going forward. I now know that you are a woman.
Okay, well, now we know Rosefire.
And therefore I assume she, her.
Well, never assume.
Yeah, right.
And then even when they correct you, then you might have to not assume again. I'm kidding. Okay.
Well, that's the problem, right? It's when they communicate it and then they change their mind because, fluid.
There you go. Anyway, Rosefire though said,
I don't know. Sexually fluid means something completely different to me in my generation.
Oh my goodness.
Whatever.
We're gonna keep it.
Okay, sorry.
I did stream. This is a family stream, tonight, right? And we're talking about the big family company a lot tonight, Disney, and how
I am being
ruining everyone's lives.
Everything that I'm saying is it's all pure to the pure, right? If you understand what I'm saying, then no harm done. You already have a dirty mind, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, that's fine. I'm not going to explain it.
That's true. Well, that's fine. And get your mind out of the gutter, as they used to say.
Exactly. Right? If you're offended by something I say, then maybe that's not what I meant, and the problem is you, not me. Maybe I didn't mean what you think I meant. Yes. You dirty, dirty bird.
Yes, you dirty bird. Speaking of birds, Daniel Heron's in the house. Sorry I'm late. Was feeding the wolf pack. Well, the apology not accepted. And
the problem
that's
is
not cool.
Feeding the wolf pack, they keep coming back.
Okay. Anyways,
love you, Wolfie. When you hear this on the replay,
what? Of course, yes. Wolf 10 should be showing up some point, unless
he's good people.
All right. So what was I going to say though? But we were going to do a good old days this week. Do you remember what the subject was? Mr.
No,
Pacelli?
I don't. But
this was going to be about where we talk about the one that got away. You know, that old romantic thing, the one that got away. Are you blanking?
Yeah,
and I say basically,
Netter's going to be listening to this, so I gotta,
it's a toy, or in my case, a game system, which is in the toy family. I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
That you didn't get, and you want me to go first?
Go ahead, because I know you had a topic in mind.
Okay, I never bought a Sega Dreamcast. Do we know what a Sega Dreamcast is, Mr. Pacelli?
I know what Sega is.
Okay, Sega's the Sonic the Hedgehog company. Okay, good. Yes. Well, they had been struggling a bit. They released the Sega Genesis, bit major popular. Then they released the Saturn, did not do as well, at least not over here in North America, Europe. So later on, they came out with the Sega Dreamcast. Okay, and this was the first of the big, beefier type consoles. We stopped calling them bits. We stopped referring to them bits, but it was what we would call a 128-bit console, unless someone in the chat wants to correct me on that. But 128-bit, it was of the same level as like a PlayStation 2, a Nintendo GameCube, or original Xbox. I consider it in that family. I don't care what people say. I think it's in that family. And when that came out, no one had seen graphics like that before. I had a Nintendo 64, which had about half the power, okay? Even though that was state of the art when it came out. And I was like, I'm not going to get one. I usually go with Nintendo consoles, but this one was tempting me. And before the next Nintendo system came out, I was seriously considering going over to Sega. switching sides.
Mhm.
And then Sega of Japan announced they were basically canceling the Dreamcast, and it was folding up right before the new Nintendo system came out. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just stick it out with Nintendo then, since I was having a hard time deciding between the two of them. But
yeah,
I really do regret it, though, because it was just a neat little console. It had like these memory cards you could put inside it, and they would actually have like graphics on the memory cards where, like, if you're playing Resident Evil, like an eye would blink at you or something, or like you could even play like a little game on the little memory card you put in there. It was just a really cool system. It was only out for like 2 or 3 years, but it burned fairly bright. I mean, I'm thinking back, it had like the best version of the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Do you remember Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games?
I remember
games?
Tony Hawk's.
Okay, well, he had a series of video games that were very popular where you could be a skateboarder, and the Dreamcast had kind of the best version of those original titles. There was a Spider-Man game that released on all the consoles, but the Dreamcast got the better version of that, and it was cool because they even had Stan Lee doing the narration in it.
Nice.
I remember that there was an Evil Dead game that came out for it where they had Bruce Campbell's voice in it. I never got a chance to play it. Kind of kicking myself. All kinds of old school 2D fighting games, like a whole bunch of Street Fighter games and SNK fighters. The first Soul Calibur came out on it. That was like the weapons-based fighter where you use the swords and stuff. And all kinds of racing games. I really regret it. It even had a keyboard and mouse you could hook up to it, so you could play like first-person shooters properly, like Quake 3, and I think forgot what that other one, Unreal Tournament, I think, was on it too. And just for the time, it was the first system that could do the I think that really pushed the online play. They had an RPG you could play online with other people online called Phantasy Star Online. They even had, I think you could even use a microphone and a headset. I'm not positive on that, but very state of the art. They were the first ones to really push for the online play, and of course there was Sonic the Hedgehog games, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, where it was in 3D, like three-dimensional, 3D inside the game.
I got to be honest with you, I sometimes struggled with some of those 3D games because I was so used to side scrollers. I could handle 2D, but as they started going to 3D, I couldn't quite get the dimensions right, and I'd be off and I'd run into things and I'd just swear like crazy.
Oh, interesting. Brian Gamart says, I actually hated playing Resident Evil on Dreamcast. Remember the D-pad being prone to errant diagonals, which always led me to getting dogpiled by zombies. Oh, that's interesting.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, though. Yeah.
No, because I had Resident Evil 2 on the Nintendo 64. They actually brought it out for the Nintendo 64, which was a miracle they could get a game like that on a cartridge, because it had full motion video, not full motion video, like CG video, but it had video and dialogue. They were able to compress it onto an actual cartridge, which was unheard of because everything else was on CD-ROM,
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Resident Evil 2 on the Nintendo 64 was that you had a big old D-pad, so you could just go around and
Yeah.
But you didn't like the 3D stuff, huh?
Well, not that pseudo 3D. Eventually, they finally figured it out and it became a little bit more intuitive. But I'm talking that kind of diagonal 3D that was like Zaxxon and the Return of the Jedi video game.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
I hated those. I wanted to love those, but the dimensions were just not right. The depth perception was off. I think eventually when we got to the first person shooters, it got a little bit better. You start getting into even the Doom, which was the pseudo first person, where it doesn't really go 3-dimensional, but it gets bigger and smaller.
Oh yeah, you can still get Doom today though on your current systems.
I love that.
I have it on my I have it on my Xbox. You can get it on PC still. And
so this Dreamcast, you never had an opportunity to get it.
Never bought one, and I'm not even going to try buying it now because I'm looking at the prices of some of these games. Oh, Power Stone 2. How much is that? $649. Okay, no, thank you. If I wait around long enough, they might do a Dreamcast Mini, like they used. How they bring out the mini Sega Genesis, the mini Super Nintendo. It could happen. Plus, I'll be honest with you, I had a GameCube and I had a PlayStation 2, So any Dreamcast games that got ported over, I bought on those systems anyway. So I still had them on those.
You know what I
so
got to say? I love these.
It was just cool. That's all.
I know this isn't what you're talking about, but I love the fact that they are putting out these miniature, like, I don't know, what are they, half scale?
Yeah, they're really neat.
Console, not the arcade game type. What are they called?
Oh, the one-up arcade machines.
Yeah,
I've seen those.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
They had apparently they're making a Dragon's Lair one.
Wow.
I heard the audible gasp there.
I'll tell you what, though, Dragon's Lair was so unresponsive. It was so frustrating that I'm just glad that YouTube now, you can see like playthroughs of it and it just strings it together as if it was a movie. I'll just watch the damn thing and be happy with it, That
was one of the first. They actually had that on DVD in the early days of DVD. You could buy the Dragon's Lair game and play it on your DVD player.
That doesn't surprise me,
and you could also
I could totally see where that would work. Yeah.
And I also rebought it on the Nintendo Wii at some point.
Doctor Who had a DVD game too. It was called Attack of the Grask. It was very, very interesting.
I didn't know this.
It starts out with David Tennant telling you he needs your help, and he uses the sonic screwdriver to turn your universal remote, or your remote control, your DVD remote control, into a sonic device temporarily.
Oh, and that's funny. Does he do his little wiki? He'll have some devices. Here, give me your remote, and like he'll have it, and he'll mess around and hand it back to you.
Exactly, and he'll say, and so now you have a Sonic temporarily. After you get done with this adventure, though, be very careful. Do not switch to ITV. It will destroy the universe. I'm not kidding. It's a joke.
No, but I know.
Anyway, I'm sorry to hear about that. I guess the best you can hope for is emulators, I suppose.
No, the thing is, though, I would argue, haven't you picked up most of the Dreamcast games you wanted on other systems, or at least their sequels? Yes. So isn't this being a little silly, you pining? And I guess more, and I think now that I think about it, I'm more pining for that era, I guess. And maybe it's not even just the fact that the games, because you still get good games now, but maybe politically speaking, the country seemed more peaceful. I don't know, and maybe it's the whole culture surround. You could just be cool and just enjoy things. But actually, someone's making a point about Nintendo having mad coding skills to get stuff on the cartridge or whatever. The man that used to run Nintendo, Satoru Iwata, may he rest in peace. He was the guy that took over after the first guy that ran Nintendo, but he was originally a programmer for them. And apparently he did some magic on one of the Pokemon cartridges for Game Boy where he was able to get an unheard of amount of stuff in there and have room to spare. Okay. And I guess that's a guy you want to keep around working for your company, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, Troy, did you have a one that got away?
As I was thinking about this topic, I know nobody in the stream is going to like me for this. I'm spoiled. I really do have a very special woman in my life who has made sure that if I have any of those kinds of regrets, she has found some way to meet them. And I even did a whole video about what I would have considered to be, and I'm dropping a link for those of you that might be interested. The big one that I had thought had gotten away, Jabba's Sail Barge, the Hasbro HasLab exclusive. This huge playset / vehicle for the 3 3/4-inch Star Wars action figures. I did not find out about it until after the HasLab Kickstart had closed already, so it was too late. There was no way to get this thing. It originally was going on Kickstarter for $500, and if you didn't get in on it, you missed out. The only way to get it was, on the secondary market, somebody that bought 2 of them or something like that and sold one, and usually they were going for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and I'm like, that just sucks. And when I found out about it, I was doing everything I could, and I'm like, Netter, can you do your Google Foo? Is there anything we could do? And she's looking, and there was a couple of great intending people out there that were offering it for near cost, but they were only offering it for people outside the United States, because people outside the United States didn't even have an option to get this thing. If you weren't in the continental United States, you were not getting this thing.
Wow.
For any price. So they were offering it for, we got it for this price. All you got to do is pay shipping. We'll send it to you. And so she says, yeah, it's not working. And a year later, for our anniversary, she says, I need you to take me up to the Wisconsin border. I ordered something and we got to go pick it up. And I go pick it up, and it's the Kitana. It's the sail barge. Yeah, it cost us about $1,000, twice as much. The guy made 100% profit on it, but he was nice. He threw in some action figures that were appropriate to the barge that didn't originally come with it, like Slave Leia with the turret, that goes on top of the thing, and Vizan, who is one of the skiff guards that comes with a gun that clips onto the side. I mean, it was specifically made to go with the sail barge. An R2, a 3PO, some other aliens, Gamorrean guards and whatnot. That was pretty cool of him, I thought. So yeah, I was able to score the one that I thought I absolutely could not get. And she has always been after me. Is there anything else that you can think of that you don't have that you really want? And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm fine. Even toys, what are the holy grails of action figures, right? You think Boba Fett with the rocket firing option, right? Well, that never came. That didn't actually really exist. There was like 2 or 3 prototypes, but it wasn't mass marketed. So it's not like it was really truly available. And since then, they have done updated versions, homages to it. And there's even been fan creators that have done rocket firing Boba Fett's in the style of the original, as it would have looked back then, as it looked in the prototype pictures, as it would have looked if it came from the holiday special, that color scheme. So I think I feel like when it comes to those kinds of things, I really live in an era where if I was a purist, I'd kind of be screwed, but I'm not that much of a purist. Another one would be the blue snaggletooth. If you don't know what the blue snaggletooth is, back in 76, 77, the Sears catalog had one of the early releases for the Cantina aliens. You could get the 4 Cantina aliens that they had at the time: Greedo, Hammerhead, what was it? Greedo, Hammerhead, Walrus Man, and Snaggletooth. But the Snaggletooth that came with the play set, and it was really just a cardboard standee of the outside of the cantina, was a full-size blue character, because they were working off a black and white drawing of Snaggletooth, and they had no idea what color the suit was or how tall he was. So they made him as tall as all the other figures. When that hit the market, Lucasfilm told them, no, he should be shorter than all the other figures and in a red outfit. So they changed it in subsequent ones. But yeah, that blue Snaggletooth was out there, and that became like the holy grail for so many people. It goes for over $1,000 for an original one, just the figure, not the figure with the play set and all of that kind of stuff. Well, since then, Stan Solo has started doing reproductions of it that are obviously not the same one, because it's got his mark on the back. You can't swindle someone and say this is an original, because it says Stan Solo 2020 on the back. But but in every way, it looks and feels like the original figure, and it costs $40. That's still kind of expensive for an action figure, but for a boutique custom figure that's that quality, I'd say that's a great price. And so I got one. He also made a reproduction of Yak Face. He was a character from the sail barge that was only released in the final, what was it, the final 17 or whatever from after Return of the Jedi. That was Yak Face was only released in Canada. We didn't get him in the United States, so nobody got him.
Why not?
Well, it was just distribution. It was a bad distribution model. So I never got it. Nobody I knew had it. Big bummer, right? But this for $40, I can get a reproduction of it. I'm good. I don't have to worry about it. I am not a purist who has to have the, I've got a, first edition original 1981, whatever, to screw that, I want it loose. I want it to display and I'm happy with it. So those are some of the things that you could say were, the ones that got away, but I've done just fine for myself. I've either gotten a reasonable facsimile or something better, because now a lot of these figures are now starting to come out in the vintage collection with, more points of articulation and photorealistic face printing and stuff. I mean, we really are spoiled in the modern era of toys, so I can't really complain too much. And then, of course, I'm working on my own custom cantina. So, screw the little cardboard stand up. I'm going to blow that away. No problem.
But I have a question, though. This sail barge, though, what's so special about it?
So Daniel Herron also points out a Man. That was another kind of overly large figure that has come out in the vintage collection. And I've gotten that version, and I've gotten, custom boutique versions of that figure. That's another one of those late figures from Jabba's palace that you wouldn't have had because, that last wave of figures after Return of the Jedi, the so-called Power of the Force figures, were just thrown together, thrown out there. And like I said, a lot of them didn't even get released in the United States. So, collectors were kind of crap out of luck. Yeah. I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, I'm just saying the sail barge, it's big, right?
It is incredibly big. We've got it sitting on my bar right now, and it literally takes up the whole bar.
Does it have like us Leia in the belly dancing outfit?
It does now. I mean, because that was one of the figures that he threw in, and I had already had 2 versions of that figure. Now there's a boutique version of it from Stan Solo that's 5 points of articulation, as though it was released in the original wave. It's kind of funny.
Can they still make that figure, or has Disney put the kibosh on that?
That's kind of a and there have been a lot of toy channels talking about this, like Only One Kenobi and what's the other one, Mighty Jabba collections and whatnot. It's not true. They have never shut it down. The one acknowledgement that they made to cancel culture, SJW stuff, is they stopped calling it Slave Leia. Okay. And they started referring to the character as what was it, the Jabba Vanquisher Leia, or the Jabba Slayer Leia. Yeah.
Well, it's funny, if I had a Super Return of the Jedi on the Super Nintendo, and you could play as Leia in that outfit in the game, and you actually got to fight Jabba as a boss and kill him.
There you go.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of silly, but yeah, it comes with. I'll tell you what, it's a huge play set. The sides come off. You can see the cockpit. You can see all of the inside of the thing. It comes with a slightly undersized version of Jabba's throne with Jabba on it. It's a smaller Jabba than the other ones that have been sold in different.
Yeah, I had one of those when I was a kid, the Jabba.
Yep. And I'm trying to remember if it had any other figures that came with it. No, I think that was it. But I mean, it's incredibly detailed. It is really, I mean, there are videos out there. Everyone that got one of those is noticing new details all the time as they look at it. It's a work of art. And sometimes you'll see a detail and you're like, did they make that up for this toy? Nope. Sure enough, it comes from like one shot in the background, real grainy. They really put the time into this.
Okay.
Have you two ever had a drink based on one that existed in a sci-fi fantasy saga? And was it good? Butter beer doesn't count. Okay, yeah, that's true because butterbeer is a real drink. There is a channel called Behind the Bar. Oh no. Well, that's another one. But the one I was thinking of is a channel called How to Drink. And I follow them regularly. They have recipes for how to make Romulan ale, how to make Klingon blood wine, how to make I don't know, drinks from other sci-fi and fantasy things that I've never even heard of that I don't follow. And the ones that I've had have been good. If you follow me personally, I do a stream on Friday night. We colloquially call it the drunk stream, but it's always a Friday night celebration where I'm drinking something, and I drink a drink that's in theme with whatever we're going to be talking about or rewatching or whatever. And just last Friday, we rewatched a few episodes of Smallville, and I had a drink called Kryptonite. And that recipe is available in various forms out there on the interwebs. The week before, we did a rewatch of Under the Cherry Moon, the Prince film, in homage to the late artist. And I had a drink called a Cherry Moon. So yeah, I do that all the time. If you want to follow me for more drink ideas, please do hit the subscribe, well, we're on Boomer's channel, so look me up. Troy Pacelli, I'm sure I'm the only one.
She's asking me, I don't recall I've had butterbeer, but as she says, you get that at the Harry Potter World in the theme park. What I did have once, though, and this was interesting, I'll tell this little story. I haven't had a drink that was based on a drink from a movie, but I had a drink that I saw in a movie, and I didn't know what it was until I had it at a restaurant one time. I was watching, I tend to like a lot of these lower rent Italian giallo movies, like these mystery horror movies they make over there. And I remember a scene with there was a scene where Barbara Boucher was, I guess, like nude sunbathing and like,
yes.
Okay. And so, and I guess one of the kids had to bring up an orange drink to her. And I'm like, what the heck is that orange drink? That doesn't look like orange juice, but what is it? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't rack my brain around what it was. Sometime I'm in a Carrabba's and they do different teas of the day. And they said one was an orange tea. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'll try this Italian orange tea, whatever this is. Okay. And I got it. It was wonderful. And it looked just like the tea I saw in that movie. That must be an Italian drink. It's some kind of orange tea they make over there. I don't know how they do it. That's my guess. Of course, I could be totally wrong. So there.
Well, okay. I mean, there is a blood orange tea that's Italian that I happen to very much like. That could be what you're thinking of.
Well, maybe it is. I didn't think about it. Maybe it is. Yeah, Barbara Boucher is nice. Anyway, giallos. I'll have to talk about them sometime, but we're talking about modern stuff right now, okay?
Yeah.
Modern stories. We ready? You fired up?
I am. We have some very interesting stories tonight.
Okay, we're gonna try and breeze through
these. Grab my notes.
They're all about. Many of them are about Disney tonight. This is a Disney stream.
A lot of Disney stuff.
Clownfish TV calls it Dismal Disney.
Dismal Disney, right?
In fact, I think I lifted some of these articles and I was like, okay, what? Sometimes that's where I find out the news.
Well, the thing about Clownfish is they're directly affiliated with Pirates and Princesses, which is always talking about Disney.
Gotcha. Okay, but this one I got from IGN, and I know some of you are saying, "Oh, spill ignorant IGN." Yeah, they can be a problem site.
Yeah.
But here we go. Disney Pixar staffers reportedly frustrated with decision to send movies straight to Disney Plus. Yeah. Now, as you know, we're in the middle of the streaming wars, and apparently Disney is this going straight to streaming is working out for some of these movies. Okay.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't think the numbers really add up to that.
Well, I don't know. Are you think it's just stuff
I think what's happening is they're making the best of a bad situation. They're losing money no matter what they do. They figure at least if they can build their streaming service while they're losing money, that's the best they can do. But yes, every time you see Disney take something that was originally intended to go to the cinema and they send it to the streaming service, they are losing money, period. They are losing money because the money that they put into it up front is not going to be made up in subscriptions or even if they make it a premium and people got to pay extra on top of their frickin', premium service.
Well, this is where it might be different, though. Let me read you a bit from this article, okay? Pixar staffers are reportedly frustrated and scratching their heads with Disney's decision to send the studio's movie straight to Disney Plus. News comes by way of insider report that some Pixar employees are frustrated that movies they've worked on are being sent straight to Disney Plus with no theatrical release, while others wonder how these decisions will affect the future of the company. A lot of work goes into these movies. I watched the thing on, I think, Finding Dory, how like it took them years just to figure out how to do an octopus in animation,
Yep. Yeah. One thing I do have to say, and that was why we, many of you who follow the stream regularly know that Nanette and I had owned some Disney stock that after Gina was fired, stay tuned, we'll be talking more about that. When she was fired, the very next day, I said to Nanette, do whatever you need to do to sell this stock. I don't care if we lose money on the deal. Spoiler, we actually made some pretty decent money on it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
But the reason that we had originally bought it, we didn't buy Disney stock. We bought Pixar stock. And then Disney bought Pixar. And we ended up then owning a double share of Disney stock, right? And then when they bought 20th Century Fox, that doubled it again. See?
That's what happens. They're gobbling up all these companies.
Exactly. So, but between the whole, concentration camps in China and the Gina thing, I couldn't in good conscience continue to support them. So we sold our stock. So, but anyway, the point is that I was getting at, part of what was behind that was I love animation. I really do. And Pixar was very much that cutting edge of animation. And they have, we talk about CG today. And we talk about, the realistic dinosaurs and the facial recognition, reconstruction and, de-aging and all the stuff that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But so much of that technology comes from algorithms and programs and stuff that Pixar spearheaded, figuring out the physics of water, the physics of fur and hair and things like that. Things that we take for granted when we see some of these Pixar films are actually quite difficult. I guess, for example, the hair on the daughter in The Incredibles was very, very difficult. And they didn't know if they were going to get it figured out in time for the initial release. And they did. And the hair physics for that character became this cutting edge thing that, flowed through so many other things. The fur on the blue monster in Monsters Inc.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah. It's really, really incredible what they've come up with. And all of these technologies interrelate. It's not just, like I said, it's the CG, it's the animation, it's gaming. Gaming owes a lot to this same sort of animation platforming.
It's interesting. I think one of the latest PlayStation games, they were trying to get movie people to help with the graphics on some of them. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. But yeah, John, I got to admit, I have the impression that ever since John Lasseter got basically Me Too'd and kicked out, they've been kind of directionless, Pixar. Is that just me? Because John Lasseter, he was like the face of Pixar. He was the big creative guy behind a lot of the movies. And he was a big Hayao Miyazaki fan.
I mean, I don't think it's speaking out of turn to say that Disney has made some great acquisitions, but some horrible business decisions since those acquisitions. Yeah. They have been the place where great companies go to die.
It's starting to feel that way. But let me get back to the article a little bit. As Insider Reports notes, Soul was the first Pixar movie in the studio's 26-year history to not debut on the silver screen. According to insider sources, Pixar creative officer Pete Docter was disappointed to learn that Soul would have no theatrical run. That disappointment was softened by the fact that Disney was ecstatic about how well the movie performed on Disney Plus, according to Insider. That was so eye-opening, a source told the publication. Disney was over the moon about the numbers. Insider reports that most at Pixar understood the necessity behind the Soul decision. The same global pandemic is still happening today. Was also happening last December after all, but that those at the studio had hoped a decision like that would be a one-time thing It wasn't, however, because it was announced that Luca, Pixar's next movie, would release exclusively on Disney Plus and free no less, unlike Disney's Mulan remake. So I guess if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, you get this regardless, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually probably what they should be doing for the subscribers.
Well,
yeah.
and Boomer, this is something you and I have talked about on previous streams. Not even this stream, just other streams we're on together. How bizarre it is that when these streaming wars started, right? Simple logic was, who's going to win the streaming wars? Whoever has the most content. Who has the most content? Disney. Disney has the Disney Channel, their whole backlog of everything they've ever done on the Disney Channel. Every film Disney has ever done. Then they acquired 20th Century Fox. Everything 20th Century Fox has ever done. All the Star Wars. They acquired Marvel. All the Marvel films, right? They had all of this stuff. How much of this is actually on Disney Plus? A very, very tiny amount. And that is available isn't even available to children because they've made it's problematic, and you have to use your adult access in order to see these movies. It's all just freaking ridiculous.
I have to admit, I think I'm rather privileged in that I grew up in a time where you didn't have all this parental controls on televisions. Yeah. I wonder if I would have. There probably would have been a lot fewer movies I would have saw growing up. But get back to the article. We don't want to be a title just on Disney Plus. One Pixar staffer told Insider, "These movies are crafted for the big screen. We want you to watch these movies with no distractions, no looking at your phones." Beyond the disappointment and frustration expressed Insider by Pixar staffers, those within the studio wonder what these straight-to-Disney Plus decisions mean for the studio's financial future. A veteran staffer at Pixar told Insider that everyone is worried about keeping their jobs if our films aren't seen by Disney as financially successful. If these movies aren't having 1 billion theatrical runs, does that hurt the company? You wonder that, one Pixar animator told Insider. See, this is the thing. We tend to think of all these companies, it's all Disney, but I kind of think that the Pixar people probably see themselves as being part of Pixar, maybe more than being part of Disney. That's what I'm getting from this.
And let's face it, anybody who's ever been a part of a company that's been acquired by another company knows you just need to forget. Whatever company you belong to no longer exists. You now belong to the parent company, and good luck to you. And more we're hearing that the people working for Disney are not happy at all. It is not the happy joy magical place that people have said it was for so long. That's another article that we'll get to later on in the stream.
Yeah, but there's another thing here, though. Insider reports that not everyone at Pixar is scratching their heads, disappointed and frustrated. One artist told the publication that if they're doing this to see their name in the credits on a theater screen, then they're doing it for the wrong reason. Other staff members pointed out to Insider that with Pixar's recent funding of projects at Disney Plus.
See, wait a minute. Stop right there. I have a problem there. What is the right reason? Okay? Because first off, my reasons are my reasons. And if you don't like it, F you. Okay. I need to feed my family. I have a vision for my own work.
Oh, so it's just about the money for you, isn't it?
Well, that's at least part of it, right? I mean, you wouldn't be doing it for pay if it wasn't, right?
You know what people would like to be sitting in your chair right now, Pixar animator?
Yeah, nobody wants to do it for free. No, I'll tell you, that's exactly it. You look at all these effing socialist justice warriors, right? And you feel so strongly about your diversity. Are you prepared to give up your job for someone who's more diverse than you? If not, go F yourself, you hypocrite.
Okay. Why
do we have a white woman leading a Lucasfilm? Shouldn't she step down and let a person of color take her place? A gay person of color? A gay person with no legs?
Anyways, but you notice how
I don't think the rum is working.
You notice when I was reading that comment, I even paused a little bit after that sentence
because you knew. But you got to remember, I'm a little slower because
that was so. Yeah, that was so awful. Or are you gonna?
Right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're right. No, keep going. You're
if
just.
You want to see your name on the big credits. You're doing this for the wrong reason. I'm thinking that's not really a wrong reason to want to be getting credit for a job well done. Okay.
Yeah.
And having taking your family out to see the movie you just worked on. See, there's my name in the
that's
credits.
Just it. I turn around to that same person and say, "Are you willing to work for free? Then fuck you."
Okay. Anyway, but like it's funny. In my own comments, I have, what are the right reasons to be working on a Pixar movie at this point? Maybe getting a steady paycheck. That was my question mark, but maybe not. Anyway, so people at Pixar are not happy. That's what I get from this. But
and then you don't blame a great character actor for working on Ape versus Monster. Suddenly, it's like you just take whatever paycheck you can get. Screw it all.
I can imagine the guy going over there. You know what? If you're doing this just to see your name in the credits or for some paycheck, you're on Ape versus Monster for the wrong reasons. I'm an artiste. That doesn't make any sense. It's just it's like something that like a manager would come in and say, and plenty of other people would want to be in your jobs, and you could be sitting there at the bar saying, taking your shot. I used to be a Disney animator.
I do want to
scene from Glenn Ross. It's
like, what, coffees for closers?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Coffee is for people that work 23 hours a day. Yeah, coffee is for people that work 23 hours a day, not 22. You slacker, get out of here.
Exactly.
Go home to your kids.
Guys, I can't. I got a bunch of people that are tagging me in comments. I can't keep up with you, but I do. But everything you're saying, I love you for it. I do have to take this opportunity though to say the comments and opinions shared by Troy Pacelli do not necessarily reflect those of Aged Boomer and the Aged Boomer Show. Okay,
yes.
just so you know that.
It's a family-friendly show, and you're dropping the naughty word.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, you did it. No.
Hey, at least it wasn't the C word. I did that one time.
Yeah, I've thought it though. I'm not gonna lie.
At least you're honest, right? I didn't say it, but boy, I thought it.
I've thought many bad things. Okay, moving on. Honestly, maybe we need to be cutting Disney some slack. Except that, apparently, there's a new hashtag out there in the world called @DisneyMustPay. You're gonna pay, Disney.
Well, this has been for a while, right? And I feel like we have a bit of a victory here because apparently Alan Dean Foster did get paid, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
I'll read a little bit from the article. He says that something's in the works. Okay. I guess he can't talk about it, but I think they're working something out finally. We talked about this a few months ago. This was with Alan Dean Foster and the fact that, we didn't know we had to honor those contracts for those books. That was under Lucasfilm. And
let me summarize really quick, okay? So, Miss Kennedy, the brilliant auteur and genius woman leading Lucasfilm into bankruptcy, decided that her Ray was the greatest ever, and you don't have to worry about anything else from the past. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to, and that definitely includes anything that we would consider to be of questionable canon, right? Any of those books, any of those books that you loved, well, too bad. You wasted your time reading those. They're not canon. They are considered part of the EU.
That's fine. And that's fine.
And and then I was getting to that, right?
Okay.
And so they decided that's all ancient history. But any books that we write now, are High Republic and stories about the gay pirate and the rock sidekick and so forth. Seriously,
right?
A rock,
his name is Geode, and
a rock named Geode, and then a vessel called
his species. Rock is slander. You apologize. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what the Empire called his kind.
All of that's canon, but all that other stuff that you loved, screw that. That's non-canon, right? Well, they decided not only is it not canon, but apparently when you do buy those books, that now come with the little what do you call it? Branding EU on it. They don't have to pay the authors for that anymore. No, I'm sorry. That's not how the law works. Somebody did some work. They wrote something. That's their intellectual property. You owe them residuals.
Well, we didn't buy those contracts. We just bought the company.
When you re-release multiple versions of Star Wars movies,
that's true. There a lot of those EU books are being republished under Legends, and they're even doing new editions of the Thrawn trilogy. That
doesn't matter. You owe that author money, and these authors are not making the money. And Alan Dean Foster, who wrote the novelizations of some of the movie. The movie novelizations of the Star Wars and Splinter of the Mind's Eye and some of the other, famous, very much beloved EU books, has made nothing off of it for years. And he kind of, authors kind of depend on those residual checks, just like actors, expect residual checks every time their show is rerun or a DVD sells or something like that. They're expecting residuals, and if they don't get them, you better believe there's going to be a court case about it.
Yeah, I think they were expecting that if they just they'll eventually just go away if they ignore.
Well, the worst part was that Alan Dean Foster, he's getting up there in years, and he's had some health problems,
and his wife too.
And they need that money.
Yes.
Okay, and it's not like I mean, that money is coming to them. They deserve that money. It's work that
regardless if he's a billionaire, it's still money he's owed.
Yeah, okay? And he's not. That's another thing. This is kind of a side point. Please indulge me. But when we're talking about actors and we're talking about writers and all of these people that we assume are, they're celebrities in our minds, right? We go to conventions, we get their autographs, we assume that they're wealthy. That is not the case. Okay, the beautiful starlet of the 80s that was on all the magazine covers and in Playboy and all of that. If you haven't seen her in a movie recently, she may not have a penny to her name now. Middle class might actually be a little bit beyond her at this point. And there are a few actresses that I know personally that fit that criteria. Okay. So famous does not mean wealthy. Okay. Just keep that in mind. For all the grief that we give the Hollywood types, everybody's entitled to their opinions, but let's have a little compassion for where people are at in their lives. And famous does not equal wealth. And people like Alan Dean Foster, they're probably not doing as well as even you are financially. Just consider that.
Yeah. Auto-dread comment. Dwayne Johnson is in a Star Wars joke, aged boomer. Okay, yeah, funny. You must have heard Ryan Johnson.
The Rock,
yeah. Right? Yeah.
No,
actually,
The Rock,
I see The Rock. Oh,
the
Geo.
Rock,
You could have Dwayne Johnson play Geo.
Midnight's Edge was actually making jokes about that, saying they want to get Dwayne Johnson to voice The Rock. Yeah.
I have to tell, Dwayne Johnson would have been awesome in a Star Wars movie.
No Auditor Dread. Amber Turd is not one that I am thinking of. I was thinking of, well, you know what? It's not like it's a secret. She's talked about it herself personally, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. Sherilyn Fenn. You guys remember Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful woman.
Yes.
Struggling financially.
Yeah.
I mean, she was divorced with 2 kids, living in a trailer, and we contributed to a GoFundMe in order to help her move. That's how bad off she was.
Yeah, there was another one we did months ago about the guy who was on Battlestar Galactica. Remember who played the second in command?
You mean Ivanova?
Did I say Babylon 5 or Battlestar Galactica?
Oh, I thought you said Babylon 5.
Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, no,
Ty.
Ty. He was having issues too because he had a tumble, right, and he had to go to the hospital and stuff.
Well, that's the other thing too. These actors It's not like when you work for a company and you have health care, right? These actors have to pay for their own insurance.
Yeah.
And if they're in between jobs, they can't even afford that.
Yeah.
So when they run into, medical problems or just age-related things, that kills their finances instantly. That's something people don't think about. People talk about, well, if I won the lottery, yeah, if you win the lottery, the first thing you better do is think about how you're going to pay for your medical insurance for the rest of your life before you decide to quit working.
You win the lottery, get in touch with a financial expert that you can trust and ask for and get some advice on what to do with that money. Okay.
Exactly.
Don't make sure it's somebody you can trust too, because people can also try and stiff you that way too.
Yeah.
But
Hashtag
indeed,
Bernie Madoff, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Indeed, Alan Dean. But going to the article though, indeed, Alan Dean Foster wasn't the only one who has been stiffed over money, with Disney failing to pay authors across a whole range of its acquisitions. In December, Wall Street Journal revealed that the SFWA is dealing with claims from writers linked to other projects such as Indiana Jones and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Disney now owns Buffy. They have Fox.
That's right.
Or I guess they
consider Chuck Wendig, whatever you might think of Chuck Wendig.
Yes.
Neil Gaiman. I'm glad that Neil Gaiman is one of them, because I know that he's somebody that will push this.
They've now started a hashtag.
Let me be very clear. I'm not glad that he has been cheated. Okay, I'm glad that he's in this fight with these other
sticking
people.
up for writers, because listen, if someone you don't like is still doing something right, you're gonna
exactly.
I'm on his side on this issue. Okay.
I like to think that I'm intellectually honest, so I cannot like somebody, but if they are in the right on a particular issue, I'll stand up for them.
Yes. Like the movement to get Disney to pay back royalties to authors has intensified. Several authors now forming a task force using the hashtag DisneyMustPay to pressure to put pressure on the Mouse House. Joining the task force is Neil Gaiman, legendary comic book creator and author, and Chuck Wendig, former Marvel comic writer and Star Wars novel author. And they are also joining the phrase are Tess Gerritsen and Mary Robinette Kawai. Okay. Mm-hmm. So and authors may be missing royalty statements or checks across a wide range of properties in prose, comics, graphic novels. This list is incomplete and based on properties for which we have verified reports and missing statements and royalties. This isn't just Alan Dean Foster. This looks like across the board.
It is a lot of writers. And there are a lot of writers that don't even realize yet that they've been missing out on checks.
It's terrible what happens to writers sometimes. I remember the guy that wrote Fight Club. He got into a real trouble because of his agent. Mm-hmm. I think made off with his money or something that he was owed for writing the sequel to Fight Club. I think
Yeah.
It's
and this is what it comes down to. You look at companies like Disney, and it's like, look, just pay what you owe, you assholes.
Well, they're making money off of this stuff.
Yes, so they are.
You have to give the person a percentage. That's how it works. They feel they don't have to. I mean, like Fox had initially licensed comic book rights to Dark Horse. When Disney purchased Fox, the rights were taken from Dark Horse and given to Boom Comics. Mm-hmm. The writer says they were told by Boom Comics that royalties don't transfer.
Yep.
You hear that?
Yep.
So this is terrible. I wish them luck with this campaign. This is terrible.
Plus, I mean, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on issues of licensing, but one of the things I was talking with Matt Flynn about on his show this morning, we were talking about Toho and licensing on comics and stuff like that. And Marvel Comics had the rights for a while to Godzilla and certain things. And when they lost those rights, they can't reproduce those comics anymore. And you can't get those comics anymore. And it all becomes a thing. And it's licensing is a just, it really is briar patch,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But this is from this actually shows a little bit of what they're asking, though. There's a task force website form to fill out for authors who suspect they are missing royalties. So apparently this is becoming a huge campaign. So hopefully
there is a hashtag Disney must pay. Mm-hmm. I have been using this for a long time. Every time the Star Wars YouTube channel posts a video, I go on and leave a comment where I rip them and reference the thing in China. I reference the Gina Carano thing. I quote the Forbes article, and I talk about the Alan Dean Foster, and I do hashtag Foster versus Disney and hashtag Disney must pay. Well, since Alan Dean Foster apparently has come to an agreement, I've dropped the Alan Dean Foster one, but I am still hitting the hashtag Disney must pay every single damn time. And I'd like to think that people like myself who use these hashtags have helped in some way bring this to people's consciousness and made Disney go, yeah, maybe we need to do something about this because people are pissed.
Yeah. I mean, they also article also says task force website. They had some things they're requesting these 3 things. You decide if you want to do these or not. But using the hashtag Disney must pay, as Troy was doing on social media, to bring their 5 action items to Disney's attention. Sample tweets are provided on the website. Don't boycott Disney. This will hurt the authors who are getting paid, including the ones who have only recently reacquired their royalties. Do support affected authors by buying the books that they are receiving royalties from.
You know, Horizon Talker brings up a good point. Disney still lets people comment on their videos. I know, right? They do. And in fact, there was all this talk about how there is an option that you can turn off the ratio, you know, so that people can't see the thumbs down. Star Wars YouTube channel hasn't done that yet. I don't know why. They can. Maybe I'm giving them way too much credit, but maybe them seeing this is giving them the fuel they need to do some things behind the scenes that we're going to talk about maybe a little later in the stream.
Well, I hope so. And apparently Horizon Talker mentions if you want a real in-depth article on the topic, Foster and his agent did an interview with YouTuber Daniel Green giving the full history of the Disney disaster. I'll give it a look. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. I will definitely look into that.
And it's just, it's a real, I mean, especially now, because let's be honest with you, the pandemic hit a lot of people hard and, you know, including writers. I mean, you think, I used to think that back when I was growing up, there was this thing known as the middle class writer. Like you'd have the writers like the bestsellers, like you know James Patterson and whatnot, making the millions. Then you'd have the writer that would work out a regular living doing writing. And I don't know if maybe these writers working on like these Star Wars books fall into that category. And you know, if they're not getting paid that for the work they've done, and especially if they don't have any new things coming up on the horizon, this could be between them and you know paying for that surgery, paying for you know, the electric bill that month. So it's something for us to keep in mind, I think.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay. So I wish them luck. I will be keeping an eye on this as it unfolds. Pay the writer. If you want to watch a wonderful, remember Harlan Ellison? Wrote for Babylon 5 plus the original Star Trek, lots of things.
I met him at a local convention couple of years back.
How was he in person? I'm curious.
He was a pip. That's the only way I can put it. He has strong opinions, but he was nice enough. I liked it.
Good, and that's fine. People can have opinions on things, and I don't always agree with his opinions and things. But he had this wonderful video.
Well, he had strong opinions about things that I don't have any strong opinions.
He had strong opinions on Disney. He hated Disney.
Yeah. And I don't blame him for that.
He had a wonderful video years ago where he saw that Saving Mr. Banks movie about the making of Mary Poppins. Okay, right. The making of Mary Poppins, and he says that he was calling out all the errors. He was saying that scene with Walt Disney, I guess, talking about what it was the paper route he had when he was a kid and walking through the snow, and telling the author of Mary Poppins about it. Said that this did not happen. That conversation never happened. Okay, and he was
and see, here's the thing about that. The thing you have to keep in mind is that movie wasn't about things that actually happened so much as they were based on what was reported by the people involved, right?
Exactly.
And hey, you know, if they said it happened, we kind of have to take their word for it, right?
Because they were there. Thing, yeah. It's like you people see different things in the same situation. I'm going to say this though. His one video though, check it out. Any aspiring writers out there. or even people who are writing, watch this video, pay the writer. He goes on a rant about how they never want to pay the writer. He made a point about Babylon 5 about how they were doing like a behind the scenes video thing for the DVD. And he's like, okay, well, would you want to be interviewed for this? Okay, sure, as long as you pay me. He's like, oh, money? I thought you'd like to do it just to be part of the project. And they were like, no, you got to pay me.
I do want to call
and he starts going on a rant about that.
I do want to call out one comment. Auditor Dread says it's probably the fastest way for them to acquire consumer data and to determine what consumers like about their latest decisions. I hope what you're saying is true. I hope that's right. That might be giving Disney way too much credit, but it's an excellent point. If they are doing what they should be doing, they are paying attention to those things. And give us a few topics. We will circle back to that.
Yeah.
Just keep that in the back of your mind.
So our next article is ex-Disney World employees mourn the careers of their dreams at the most magical place on earth. This is a sad article.
It really is, but it's at the same time, it's like, I'm sorry, time for you to wake up and smell the coffee here.
I know. I'm just saying, there is a human side to Disney.
I agree with you 100% about that. I mean, these people that have worked for Disney have been told by Disney, your family, and we care about you.
I am going to say this. I mean, I've had a love-hate relationship with Disney all my life. A lot of the hate began when they canceled Gargoyles under the Michael Eisner thing, because I love
that's
that
where
cartoon.
It started for you. Okay,
we talked about that.
Yeah.
Wolf 10 did a segment on Gargoyles on Culture Fortress last Tuesday. We were on with them, and I love Gargoyles too. And then they kind of messed up the last season, and they canceled it, and I was angry about that. Then they started making all of these made-for-video sequels.
Those were terrible.
Cinderella 2, Happily Ever After. There's no sequel to Cinderella.
There's
it has an ending.
3
okay,
that went to.
I know they made a sequel, a made-for-video. What are you doing? It's like, and then they stopped making traditional animation. And I actually gave them points years later. They did Princess and the Frog, and then it didn't do so hot at the box office. But I said, okay, I thought we were going to get another 2D Renaissance, but that didn't happen. But like I said, love, hate Disney. They'll do things I don't like, but then they come back and do things I love. And
I will say during
again,
that era, though, in fairness, they were getting some really mixed messages from the audience, right? Because the things that should have done very, very well, things like Treasure Planet and whatnot, terribly underperformed. So they really got wrong messages there, in my opinion.
Atlantis didn't do well. I saw
that.
That was a good one to see on the big screen too. I'm very happy I went to the theater to see that one.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I only wish that they had included the things that they didn't include in the movie because I guess budget or time.
The only thing that I can blame that on is Disney. Where the hell was your marketing on this?
Oh, that happens all the time though with marketing. People made a point a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic hit. Warner Brothers made a sequel to The Shining called Dr. Sleep. It was based on the Stephen King book, but it was also being built as a sequel to The Shining. This is The Shining. It's getting a sequel. And apparently, from what I heard, they did a good job on it. The director and nobody knew it came out the theaters. It's like I finally found out it was in theaters. I was going to go with some work people to go see it, and then it was out of theaters like in 2 weeks. I don't think Warner Brothers did any advertising for it.
And here's
it had Ewan McGregor in it. It had a big cast.
This is the real hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
For all the shit that they give to fans, and they poo-poo fans, and they want to tell fans to go F themselves, and we want a new audience, and we want the general audience, and so forth. Well, guess what? The fans are the only ones that are going to show up when you don't do the work to market something. You're not going to get that general audience. And if the fans don't show up, then you're screwed.
I don't know what they were thinking. But back to this article. This is a sad article. Okay, in 1993, 3-year-old Natalie visited Disney World for the first time. She watched in awe as a parade of entertainers and characters traveled through Disney's Hollywood studios. It was the moment, she says now, that Disney became the quote-unquote end game for her. 16 years later, Natalie's, hope I'm pronouncing her name right, childhood dream comes true. She joined Disney through the Disney College program as an employee at Animal Kingdom
Yep.
Eventually making her way to Hollywood studios. There she performed for the first time in a parade as a Disney World entertainer. I remember the day of my first parade, having tears in my eyes the entire time, said Natalie, who asked if that insider used only her first name. Natalie went on to work for Disney World for 11 seasons, mostly in entertainment as costumed and non-costume characters, until everything came to a halt in April 2020 amid the newly raging the beer bug pandemic. Natalie and close to 43,000 other Disney World employees were abruptly furloughed. In December, Natalie was among the thousands of Disney employees to be permanently let go. Why is it always in December? Why do they always have to do it right before Christmas? I don't know why companies. Is it a fiscal year sort of thing?
It is a fiscal year thing. Yeah,
okay,
it absolutely is. It's a confounding factor. It has nothing to do with the fact that Christmas and whatnot.
It's a hard time though. For that to happen. Now, 1 year after the pandemic began, Natalie and other former employees are still mourning the lives and careers they were building at Walt Disney World.
Yep.
And to many of the employees that spoke to Insider for the story, most of whom asked for full or partial anonymity in case they returned to the jobs, Disney was more than a workplace or source of income. It was the company and theme park they grew up with as kids, and it was where they planned to nourish and grow their careers.
Yeah,
this is the thing. People, they go work to Disney. They want to work there the rest of their lives. I've heard this, which I think is interesting. I always figure employment is you probably like to work for a company the rest of your life, but in the back of your mind that things can happen. Companies can go out of business, restructuring, that sort of thing.
But here's the thing about Disney. Yeah. They tell these employees, you are family, and we're going to look out for you. And yes, we're furloughing you, but we'll find some way to bring you back. It's the pandemic, blah, 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 blah.
Which was fair. Yeah. When I heard that.
From a purely business standpoint, yes. But when you tell people they're family, that means something. You better live up to that. Otherwise, you're just a freaking hypocrite when it turns out that you're just a business and you're like, well, what can I do? I'm sorry. It's not personal. It's just business. What do you mean it's not personal? I thought we were family.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
That puts Disney in the position where they have to admit they effing lied.
They've laid off nearly 18,000 people. 1,000 more placed on extended furlough. This is just terrible. I mean, in many cases, the Disney employees grew up watching
Keep in mind, movies. This is the same company that has inspired the hashtag DisneyMustPay, because they're not paying the people that they owe money to. Just saying. Just pointing this out. This is how much Disney workers are family, right?
Yeah.
They're furloughing people.
Oh, yeah.
They are not paying their artists. I'm sorry, but this magical place is the worst.
There was a thing that the one person said that she can't, that her mother has to take the kids to the park because she's the only one that has the annual pass, and that she can't afford to get an annual pass for the park.
And they're going to be doing away with the annual pass, too.
Yeah, I mean, but it's this just goes on. It's not just a job. Another former employee who worked on and off Disney World starting in 2004. This employee most recently worked in the bakery of Disney's Yacht Club Resort. She was laid off on New Year's Eve. Even non-guest facing jobs at Disney have the unique ability to make magic in the park, she said. For her, that meant delighting hungry guests with Mickey-shaped pastries or with desserts sprinkled with edible pixie dust.
Yeah.
It's just it's really sad. This is a harrowing article. I recommend everybody check it out if you get a chance. It shows just how much this has affected everybody there.
But you know what? This is exactly the kind of thing that is resulting in people not wanting to bother going to the parks anymore, and people not subscribing to Disney Plus, canceling Disney Plus. People no longer have that opinion of Disney that they are this magical place. The fans of Disney are turning on them in droves, because you get to a point where you just cannot ignore reality anymore.
Oh, interesting. Horizon Dog guys are, and some of that may be the dichotomy between their direct supervisors and the far more Machiavellian C-suite types. Oh, that's interesting. Like the direct supervisors are sold this, and then they're the ones that have to break the news, while the power people that we don't usually see.
And that's the way all corporations are. Anyone that's worked in corporate America understands that and gets that. But Disney has set itself up that they were something better than that, and they're clearly the worst. I can't hear what you're saying, Disney, over how loud your actions are speaking.
You know how you mentioned when you're dealing with investing, you said diversify.
Yeah.
I think that also should play into hobbies.
Yeah.
Things you like, diversify, because I'm into many different things myself. The closest I had to ever being a fanatic about anything, I guess, would be Nintendo. They're kind of a Disney-esque company when it comes to gaming. They have lovable characters that everybody likes, and long-standing series. But even Nintendo can get on my nerves sometimes. Like for a while, I didn't buy a console of theirs. I didn't get the Wii U, and it took me a while before I even got the Nintendo Switch. But they
learning anything in the past couple of years, and especially from this channel and this community, it's that there are no franchises, there are no fandoms anymore that are untouched by the taint of socialist justice.
Even the stuff from Japan, and we may get into this next week sometime because I know Clownfish was talking about this, but sometimes you'll want to read a nice light novel or a manga from Japan or an anime, and you'll find out that the creators over here, who may have the SJW leanings, have changed the content on you. Okay, but we'll get more into that next time, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have to be careful, and it's tough. But we have some good news this week.
Oh yeah,
Gina Carano. I love how the article said Gina Carano uncanceled, and I'm like, what? Well, in a manner of speaking, yes.
Well, okay. And it may not actually be as clickbaity as it seems. Since
it is true, because in this case, it is her.
It is very true.
It's just not on the Mandalorian
case.
It's a different.
But we're going to have a little bit more. I'm going to surprise you with, because just before we went live, Doomcock dropped another little tidbit on us.
Okay.
But let's talk about this right now.
I'll read a little bit from this article. Gina Carano has revealed that her episode of National Geographic series Running Wild with Bear Grylls is set to air after all. Last month, fans noticed that Carano's appearance on the show, which was produced as part of the series' current 6th season, had been pulled from the episode listings. This heavily suggested that Disney had quietly canned it following the studio parting ways with the actress over her controversial social media activity. However, the former Mandalorian star has now confirmed on Twitter that her Running Wild appearance will air along with the rest of Season 6, revealing that it's set to be broadcast on National Geographic in just a couple of weeks' time.
Yep.
Along with sharing a pic of herself with host Grylls in the Dolomite Mountains, Carano explained in her tweet, "Want to hear something cool? Just so happens you'll be able to see my at Bear Grylls episode. After all, Bear is a real one. I'm so glad you're going to get to see it. My heart is so full." Airs on May 10th at 9 p.m. Never give up. Going by the act. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of behind the scenes type of rumors going around about this. The only thing we know for certain is this episode is getting aired, right? Mm-hmm. But that does bring with it certain inferences, right?
Mm-hmm.
First off, the whole idea of scrapping it, it's very clear that whoever was behind it, and I'm not saying that Kathleen Kennedy was behind it, I'm just saying whoever was behind it may have overstepped themselves just a little bit, because just like hashtag DisneyMustPay, right? There are contracts in place, and when a show is made, the decision not to air something has direct financial implications. Now, I'm sure that if Gina Carano got paid for this episode, she probably got paid up front. So she probably didn't care one way or the other, at least from a financial standpoint, whether this show actually aired or not. But you know who probably does? Bear Grylls.
Yeah. Oh, that's his name.
He's probably contracted for a certain number of episodes a season. And the decision to drop one has a direct impact on him. And I would not be surprised, and this is based on nothing, this is purely speculation on my part, but I am speculating that he may have looked at this and gone, "Oh, really? Well, you're still going to pay me for this." Well, no, I mean, we're not. Yes, you are, because if you don't, we're going to court, Disney. Oh, well, maybe it would be a little cheaper to just go ahead and, since it's already been filmed.
Yeah,
maybe. Because he doesn't give a flying F about The Mandalorian or Star Wars or Gina Carano or what she has said on her social media stream. All he cares about is, we filmed these episodes. I want my money. Pay me, damn it.
Well, I'm going to say this, Grills. I was getting his name wrong earlier, but he did retweet her. Okay.
Oh, did
and he even responded, and he said he retweeted Carano's post on his own feed and praised her for a powerful story of many struggles and many triumphs. So he may genuinely like her and thought she did a great episode too.
Look, everybody who's ever worked directly with her has had nothing but positive things to say about her. Even assholes that have their heads up their asses that have worked with her directly have nothing but positive things to say about her. So, that means something. It still does, at least to me.
Have you ever seen this show?
Never. I've seen some of his shows, but not this specific.
I should look into it. National Geographic puts out some good stuff sometimes. I was watching their Gordon Ramsay series they had on, where he goes around the world.
Yeah.
And looking for new because he's a chef, so he's trying to find out how people in other cultures and nations, what foods they use, how they cook. He's trying to learn how other people cook, how their great chefs in other countries do this thing. So he'll end up in like the Andes in Peru, or the Andes.
I gotta say,
right? Okay.
I've seen that show, and the thing I like the most about that show is, you know what his character is. He tends to be very arrogant, very whatever. But when he does this, he comes from a place of humility. It's like he's there to learn.
He's very respectful.
You're the expert, and I'm learning.
Yeah, he's very respectful. He's there. He's there in friendship, not. He's not being the mean teacher.
Exactly.
Which apparently from what I had heard, he had a show over in Britain, which was the same thing. When he did the one over here, he says, no, the Americans want you,
or whatever.
The Americans want you yelling. Okay, do not do this thing where you're just being yell at the chefs and training.
Somebody asked because he did a show like he did like a kids version of his show, and somebody asked one of the kids, and they were like, I was scared to death to be on a show, but the reality is behind the scenes, he's the nicest guy. It's all an act. I'm like,
I think
okay,
so.
that was your peek behind the curtain, right?
But I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say another thing too. Some of those shows like Kitchen Nightmares and Motel Hell or Hotel Hell, I'm actually on his side a lot of the time because in a lot of those cases, he's actually sticking up for the lower staff members at these places.
Yup.
And also for the customers that are eating bad food and spending money. And it's like, and ultimately this is going to put you.
Who's that guy that does the bar rescues, right? Same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, look, you brought me in here to save your business. If you don't want to do what I tell you, then you're on your own. Screw you.
And ultimately, he's going to be a little harsh, but he's trying to help the business. And people that listen to him, the restaurants are becoming top tier again, and they're doing well. And sometimes we all need a kick in the pants once in a while.
Exactly. It's just a question of humility. If you get to the point where you need to ask somebody for help, then you need to have the humility to say, on my own, I'm a screw up. So I am going to pretend that everything this person tells me is holy writ and follow it to the letter, as an offering to God, in the hopes that I pull through this thing. That's the level of humility you need to have.
I think so. Yeah.
But I think we're getting off topic here. What we're talking about here is there comes a point where nobody cares about some little factions, petty squabbles. Business is business. And there apparently are parts of the Disney business where people are going, look, you got two choices. Either you play this show and I make my money, or I take you to court. Either way, I make my money. I'm suggesting you do it the easy way. And there's people at Disney going, yep, that's probably the best way to go about these things.
All right. Well, speaking of getting paid again, moving right along.
Well, wait, before we move on to the Marvel thing, I did want to mention there was a couple of extraneous things related to this. I know that most of the people that follow us here probably are at least aware of Doomcock and his channel. I highly recommend you go check out his last couple releases about the Gina Carano and Star Wars stuff, because it's all rumor, no way of knowing if any of it's true, but just the idea that some of it might be just has me, rubbing my hands together in schadenfreude, because, oh my gosh, apparently things have gotten to the point over there where Bob Chapek has ripped Kathleen Kennedy. What was the exact quote? It was something like, "Get your shit together or go find yourself another company to ruin." And
I'd love to be able to hear these things, but
he said it loud enough for everyone on the executive floor to hear it.
Oh my goodness.
And I've been saying this for a long time. If this isn't happening, it should be happening, because Disney cannot afford to keep dealing with this petty bullshit. This is a business. This is money. This is, they don't even have the money to keep from Alan Dean Foster. They have no money because it's not coming in because of stupid decisions by people like Kathleen Kennedy. So get your crap together. Your petty bullshit means nothing to the stockholders and the people that are expecting to get paid, Yeah. And now we have the promotions coming out from Disney for May the 4th, completely devoid of anything sequel related. Oh. That's huge.
Okay.
That's saying a lot.
That's saying no one cares about the sequels anymore.
And now the most recent one that you may not have even seen, Boomer, because it just came out today, hours before we came on. A rumor that Doomcock had been sitting on, but he finally decided, I'll let it go and you guys decide what to make of it. There's a rumor going around that Disney has approached Gina and asked her to come back to The Mandalorian.
Huh.
Now, I don't know if it's true. And if it is true, I don't know if she would do it. But let me tell you something. If it turns out to be true and she came back for just one effing guest appearance, what kind of a message would that be to all the Raylo dumbasses out there and the people in the Kathleen Kennedy camp?
It would mean that they're not in control like they thought they were.
Absolutely. Because and it would, I hate to say it. No, I don't. I love saying it. It would just prove me right. What I've been saying for years. Business will win out. The fans who pay the bills will win out. They are the ones really in charge of canon. They're the ones really in charge of the decisions that Disney makes. And the more they fight against the goad, the more they're going to hurt and the more they're going to bleed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I hope what you're saying unfolds. We're going to see. We'll probably find out within the next year or two.
But it certainly sounds realistic.
It has to come to a head at some point.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. But shall we move on?
Geode and Gayassy isn't going to do it.
Okay, Geode. Yes, Geode. Okay.
But let's talk a little bit about Marvel. We're still in the Disney.
Yes, apparently Marvel's Winter Soldier success barely benefits his comic creators. That's interesting. So this is another person not getting paid, apparently. And
can we just point out that the extent that it was a success is arguable too? Because everything I've heard was that
but they're not just talking about the current series success. We're talking about from the movies. From when he first premiered in Captain America Winter Soldier. Do you understand? I don't think these guys have been getting paid. Despite comic book superheroes being some of the biggest money makers on screens, big and small lately, the creators who brought them to life in the first place rarely get more than a fraction of the financial success coming their way. But as Marvel's The Falcon and Winter Soldier cooks up a storm on Disney Plus, like you said, it's argued with it. Comics writer Ed Brubaker has opened up about just how big the disparity really is. Along with artist Steve Epting, colorist Frank DeMario, and letterer Randy Gentile, formed the team behind the Captain America comics run that saw Bucky Barnes return from seemingly beyond the grave as the former Red Room assassin Winter Soldier in 2005. and half a century since Barnes had been active as a character in Marvel Comics. But ever since Sebastian Stan's iteration, Barnes was transformed to the Winter Soldier for the second Captain America movie in the MCU, and is now starring in his own self-titled show with Anthony Mackie as Falcon on Disney+. Brubaker and his fellow creatives have been treated well, less than ideally, as their character has shot into pop culture stardom. I remember sitting there in the third movie and just remembering this Jack Kirby ulcer growing in my stomach going, this is what it felt like, kid, except 100 times worse. So fuck you. That's what he said. There you go. I used the F word. I'm quoting the article.
Well, you're quoting somebody else.
Brubaker recalled of seeing Captain America Civil War during a lengthy Frank appearance on Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardine's podcast, Fat Man Beyond. And Brubaker opened up about his strange relationship with the Winter Soldier's rise to prominence in the MCU, from how it would take weeks after Captain America the Winter Soldier's Comic-Con announcement before Marvel Studios reached out to him about the news, to turning down a check for a thank you credit in the Civil War that he described as a quote-unquote insult, and how the writer makes more money from his brief cameo in Winter Soldier's flashback sequences than he does in residuals from having brought the Winter Soldier to life in the first place. As the years went on, I just started to think, how come we're not getting anything for this? Brubaker wondered. We can get a thanks to or a credit, but these movies are making billions of dollars, and it feels like we just kind of got a bad deal. And they're making a point that the ends of one of the end quotes is like, it's ridiculous that having been a co-creator of the Winter Soldier, I should not have to be worried about providing for my wife if I die right now, the writer added. It started to feel like this kind of hurts a little bit to be overlooked this way. What do you think of that?
Well, I love what Auditor Dredd has up there. This was information I didn't know about, but he said Ed Brubaker at Marvel doesn't get any residuals for his contribution due to him not creating a character, but recreating an established character. DC has an incentive program, according to Uncle Ethan.
So this is because Bucky Barnes already existed, even though this is Bucky Barnes as. So this would be like if I created the Red Hood, I don't really get credit for that because that Robin already existed prior to that, right?
Exactly. Okay. And this comes down to, they're always behind the curve, right? We've had these companies cheating people out of money because technically it's legal, but morally it's absolutely wrong. And until somebody stands up and takes them to court, nothing changes. This is why, people that worked on TV shows back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, they didn't make residuals. Okay. It wasn't until someone said, look, you're making money off of syndication and reruns and VHS and DVD. We deserve some of that, and people like the Siegel and Schuster estates spearheaded, hey, we created something that you're making millions and millions of dollars off of, we deserve something for that. And every generation of artists has to fight these fights. And it's getting freaking ridiculous because it really gives these companies terrible PR. This is why Marvel is so hated. And I'm sorry, everybody wants to be so positive about Stan Lee, but I know the history there, and the Kirby and all the others that suffered because of decisions he made. So when he ends up getting it, I'm sorry, it's not right, but what goes around comes around.
It says Marvel is notorious for hoodwinking contractors. DC at least gives an incentive to have creators get some funds, like Shane Davis and his Red Lantern.
Yeah, but don't be too quick to give them too much credit, because again, that comes directly from the lawsuits they fought with Siegel and Schuster.
Oh, wow, the Superman thing. Oh, wow, yep, okay.
Like I said, that wasn't anyone at DC out of the goodness of their heart. That was them having it pulled out of their asses, kicking and screaming.
That was them having, we have a bad reputation and no one's going to want to work for us now. Okay.
Well, more like they were told in no uncertain terms by the courts, you have to, is what it really came down to.
Okay.
And so now you have a choice of just paying out what you owe or paying out more when those people take you to court, because they will win every time, because this is already legal precedent. That's the way the law works.
Yep. It's not cool. I mean, you think all these people, you think I'm going to create this comic book character, you're going to make millions when this hits the big screen. No, that don't happen.
Yep.
Okay. Should we move on to Oscars?
Yeah, this is awesome stuff.
Come on. Oscar ratings sink to all-time low.
Shocker.
Okay.
Hi, look at this. This is my shocked face.
That's yes. Okay. I can't. New comments. There we go. Okay. There's the address. Yeah, Oscars sink to all-time low, fall nearly 60% over 2020's already dismal viewership. So does it keep getting like cut in more than half each year from the previous year's bad viewership?
I don't know, but the last 2 years have been abysmal. And last year, kind of not surprised, right? I mean, not a great deal of surprise. Last year was a terrible year. This year, it was so bad.
But I could still think of movies that came out in like 2020 or 2019 that were, worth seeing, But
nobody cares anymore. Everybody is so turned off of Hollywood at this point. They just don't care.
Did you see the scene? I think Frances McDormand was on stage and she was barking like a dog. It was this weird thing. And I guess the whole Glenn Close was twerking. That was a thing.
Oh,
apparently that was scripted. Apparently, though,
I can't believe this. I said it last year. I said this whole Oscar thing, this whole Academy Awards thing, it's a big frickin' Hollywood circle jerk. It means nothing to anyone anymore except themselves. It's an opportunity for them to get together and smell their own farts and say it smells like roses. And no real person cares anymore. Used to be the Oscars were an opportunity to find out what was really good in Hollywood, movies that we didn't know about, classy stuff that, was artsy and worth checking out. No, now it's cuties, bullshit like that.
We also get speeches too. Like I think there was an anti-police.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We also want to tune in so that we can get told what horrible people we are, what isophobes we are, and how we should be consuming the bullshit they put out so that we can get lectured all the more.
Yeah. Listen, the Oscars did feature some political advocacy, including actor Danielle Kaluuya praising the Black Panther Party and actor and writer Traven Free using his time on stage to condemn police officers. And it's also historic wins, including the first woman of color, Chloe Zhao, for winning the Oscar for Best Director of Nomadland. I believe she's going to be directing the Eternals for Marvel, if I'm not mistaken.
Good. And that can fucking tank too, because nobody gives a shit. That's just great. Do you want to be known as the first woman of color to win this, that, and the other, when history remembers you as someone who sucks, who only got their job because she was a woman of color? She's basically a token. Congratulations. You suck, but you got this award because you're black. Congratulations.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao is a Chinese filmmaker known primarily for her work in independent American films. Okay.
Whatever.
All right, but yeah.
These are all people I don't care about. Okay. I don't care what her gender is. I don't care what her color is, her background. I don't care what's happened in her life. What I care about is what makes it to screen. And if it sucks, I don't want to see it, and I'm not going to spend the money on it. Doesn't matter that she's not white, or she is white, or she's what gender she is.
Apparently, according to this article, the Oscars were bracing for dismal ratings even before the event, with advertisers tepid and ABC asking for less money to run 30-second advertisements. They probably were still charged too much, I'm thinking. One One producer also warned earlier this month that viewers turn off their televisions when Hollywood stars begin discussing politics.
Yep. Well, they were even saying that the numbers about the Winter Soldier or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as soon as they started the political stuff, the TVs all got turned off. They know what people are watching and when they turn the TV off. Oh. These messages are getting through to them loud and clear.
I know this is a response, Rosefire, but I'd like to read it. Mm-hmm. And everyday people have lost jobs, lives, and peace of mind in this traumatic pandemic. Mm-hmm. The last thing anyone wants to be rebuked just for existing and breathing. Oh yeah,
yeah.
You had a hard year last year.
You're suffering, and it's all your own fault.
Yes,
you're horrible people. You brought this all on yourselves. And any reasonable person goes, "No, that's bullshit." Mm-hmm. And I know it's bullshit.
Yeah, so you don't want to see the...
And no, I'm not going to give you money to continue to treat me like this. I mean, for crying out loud. You know, it's like being in an abusive relationship. You keep going back to it. There comes a point where you go, you know what? Now it's your own fault. Okay? No one deserves to be treated that way, but you keep going back to it. I'm sorry. I can't help you
anymore. think sports fans have certainly felt that way
in
recent years. Like I said, it's weird. I remember years ago when the whole thing was happening with the SUW stuff in video games, and I kept saying, what can't they hit? And I said, they can't hit sports. I can't see how they can hit sports. Oh, they can hit sports. I didn't know how they were going to do it, but they did it. Okay. Yeah, it's just,
and I'm telling you, people, the ratings, the people not supporting this stuff, ultimately what do you call it? The advertisers start to notice this stuff, and then they stop supporting it, and the money runs out. And when these people, and I'm being very generous, in Hollywood run out of money for blow, they're going to start to panic. And they're starting to panic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of further projects, we move on.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Elizabeth Banks. She's a creative genius, isn't she?
Okay, listen, stop judging until I've read part of the article, and then you can judge. Okay. The Flintstones adult animated comedy sequel series Bedrock from Elizabeth Banks in the works at well, that cut off. Sorry about that. At the works at, well, I'll let you guys know. Yabba Dabba Doo, Elizabeth Banks' Flintstone sequel series Bedrock has landed at Fox. That's basically Disney now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how all this works now because Fox used to be its own thing.
Fox is Disney. Just like I said, every time a company gets purchased by another company.
Wait a minute. I'm really confused. Flintstones is Hanna-Barbera. Doesn't Warner Brothers own Hanna-Barbera? So how, unless they're licensing out one of their series to Fox for, I don't know how any of this works anymore. Okay. Okay. Yabba Dabba. Okay. I already did that. Okay. The network is developing the primetime Emmy animated adult comedy series with Charlie's Angels and Hunger Games star set to voice Pebbles Flintstone in addition to producing. Mm-hmm. Banks has been developing a Flintstones project for a couple of years with Warner Brothers Animation as part of her overall deal with the studio via her Brownstone Productions. It comes 10 years after Seth MacFarlane developed a reboot of the Flintstones at Fox, although it did not go forward. Bedrock will follow the Flintstones family 2 decades after the original, with Fred on the brink of retirement and 20-something Pebbles embarking on her own career. As the Stone Age gives way to a shining and enlightened new Bronze Age, the residents of Bedrock will find this evolution harder than a swing from Bam Bam's club. It will be interesting to see where Banks Pebbles is in her life. In the Flintstones canon, as seen on ABC's 1993 made-for-television animated movie Pebbles, voiced by Megan Mullally, works for an advertising agency, marries Bam Bam, and ends up moving to Holly Rock, a fictional version of Hollywood. The pilot script is being developed by Lindsay Kearns, who has written Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous, and DC Superhero Girls. The original series, produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions, ran for 6 seasons on ABC and was the first animated series to air in prime time. The Fox's AVOD service Tubi has acquired the rights to all 166 episodes of the show and will launch it on May 1st. coming on the back of its recent 60th anniversary. So if you want to watch old Flintstones episode, you can watch them on Tubi. That's some good news, right?
Yep. So can we judge now?
Sure.
So Elizabeth Banks, responsible for Charlie's Angels 2019. How did that movie do? I'll tell you, it lost $30 million.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, no one wanted to see that.
Okay. So she's going to take a job and move to Holly Rock. Okay.
No.
We just talked about well,
the article was confusing. Was that the old show where that happened?
I don't know.
Now they're new. Okay.
I don't know.
So that was like a possible
But I can tell you exactly, because you basically just said it. They're basically going to say Fred's retiring, she's marrying Bam Bam, and you know for sure she's going to be the cutting edge. She's going to have all the answers in this new age, this new progressive age. Everybody, all the males are going to be, the past that needs to die. I mean, how has this worked out for Hollywood so far? We just talked about what people thought of the Oscars and what's happening in Hollywood right now. Why do they keep doubling down on these same hacks that keep losing the money?
It's interesting, isn't it? You would think that this would be it for her for a while, right? And she wouldn't be giving a TV show. And yet this is going to happen now. I don't know. Does she know people? Is this like a nepotism thing going on here?
I don't know. Maybe it's a, casting couch thing. I have no idea. All I know is she lost $30 million, and yet someone's still going to let her, go ahead and make another movie.
Yeah.
In what business world does that make any logical sense?
Well,
we see time and time again. I'm sorry. It's not just a slogan. It's proved over and over and over again. Get woke, go broke. People don't pay to be lectured to. You're already virtue signaling just with your pitch for this stupid thing.
So do you think that Fred Flintstone's going to have toxic masculinity?
Absolutely.
And he's going to be getting called out on it and like...
For F's sake, he's a caveman. What could be more toxic masculinity than that? That's exactly why they're doing this.
Maybe Barney Rubble will be dealing with Alzheimer's, and it will not be a funny subject matter on this new show. And I'm just saying, to get that Emmy, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the show's going to be fun? It's an adult animated comedy. What does that mean, adult animated comedy?
It means it's going to be.
It's not for kids, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Okay.
Which is just brilliant, right? Because I mean, taking the Flintstones and making it for adults, that's gonna go over real well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, let's get Rosie O'Donnell back to voice Betty, because that worked out so well, right?
And don't choke. That could happen.
Oh,
they haven't announced all the actors yet. That could happen. Okay.
Oh my God.
But Elizabeth Banks playing the 20-something. I'm telling you, it's going to be. Pebbles is going to be empowered, and she's going to.
She doesn't what? I think we lost you there, Boomer. Oh, I think you just cut out on us. I'm not hearing you. Or is it just me? Hello, Boomer?
No, he cut out.
Okay.
You
so
there?
Never's not hearing you either. Yep, I'm here now. I can hear you now. Hello, Boomer. Okay, you're in and
having
out.
trouble connecting. They're probably making fun of me right now as I talk.
No, that's fine. No, I mean, we know it's not you. I mean, internet connections are what they are these days. But yeah, I mean, the past couple of years have pretty much told us, between, this 2019 Charlie's Angels, the 2016 Ghostbusters, just keep putting them out, keep bankrupting yourself. Why not? I mean, nobody is surprised when these things tank. And we're also not surprised when you come out and say, well, it's just because, toxic man babies and istophobes and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. We told you what was going to happen. It happened. And now you're blaming us. That's fine.
Hello?
But Yep, you're back. You cut out completely for a second there.
No, my internet's been acting funky. Okay, so
I know.
all right. I hate it when that happens.
But
Okay.
I think we've beat up on Elizabeth Banks enough. I mean, she's pretty much gonna bankrupt herself just fine. She doesn't need us, bitching about her.
I don't understand where she came from. She was I always liked her in comedic roles, and she was nice to look at. It's just I now she has like some kind of agenda now. It seems I don't know.
That's the problem, though. People that are nice to look at think they can coast on that. And
yeah,
I'm sorry. Anybody who has been in Hollywood long enough will tell you can only coast on your looks for so long. Okay. And that wears pretty damn thin because beautiful women are a dime a dozen in Hollywood. There's another one right behind you who's younger. Okay. So you can lose $30 million and maybe what you do for that producer is worth $30 million to him, but that doesn't last long.
Well, apparently they nipped that in the bud, right?
Oh yeah, because because then there's the Me Too movement. So
there's the one guy that got caught, and I'm sure it's still going on. Anyway,
exactly.
We got some good news though. Last Unicorn returns home. Renowned fantasy author and screenwriter Peter S. Beagle prevails after multi-year legal battles against elder abuse and to regain control of his literary legacy. Okay.
Yep.
So following a lengthy bankruptcy court in California's state court battle, Peter Beagle has finally reclaimed rights with respect to the vast majority of his intellectual property for the first time in decades. The bankruptcy case stemmed from a 2015 lawsuit in which Peter Beagle sued and prevailed against his ex-manager for elder abuse, fraud, and other serious claims. This man's been put through the ringer through his life, this writer. There was a thing where, remember the last Unicorn movie that came out in the early 80s, I think it was?
Yep.
And they were stiffing him on royalties from that too. The people releasing it on videotape. It's really awful what some of these writers go through. And I think his mom had ended up having trouble too, like medical problems too. And he was like, she was going for cancer treatments, and he was having trouble paying that because he wasn't getting his royalties like he was supposed to get.
Yep.
So I'm glad things are finally working out for him. But the bankruptcy court recently approved a sale, which was effected shortly following that order, that facilitates the return of Beagle's body of work to an ownership group that includes Beagle, the IP's creator, and rightful owner. So yeah, maybe buy yourself a copy of The Last Unicorn if you don't have it. Okay. It's his best known work is
especially if you've never seen it. Don't bother streaming it. Just go out and buy the
book
thing,
too. You can buy the book.
So good. If you haven't seen it before, you're totally missing out, and you will thank me. You absolutely will.
The book is good too. I love the scene in the movie though where the the bumblebee says, "Don't listen to me, listen." Mm-hmm. And that line always stuck with me, and I kind of wanted to say that to people because sometimes maybe I joke too much. I'm not taking it seriously.
Yep.
But that's like saying, "Don't listen to me, listen," because what I'm about to say actually isn't any. It's no BS. This is something serious. I'm telling you. Please listen to me. Okay.
Well, it's also the whole and you see it all the time now, especially with social media and whatnot. If this person or that person says something, it must be a lie. But then the other guy says it. Oh, it must be absolutely true.
Yeah.
The whole fallacy of who it comes from. I'm sorry. The truth is the truth. I don't care if it's Biden or Trump or Hitler who said it. The truth is the truth. Even an evil person can say something that's true and it's still true.
Yeah. It's just it's really sad what this man's gone through though. I'm glad he's gotten it a bit. I mean, Jamie Noel, partner at Loban Capital Markets and Corporate in New York City, coordinated Beagle's representation in the bankruptcy matter. Noel said, "While it is a sad commentary that it took Peter so many times to get back what he already had, we are delighted to be looking forward to advising him on the wonderful possibilities that come with reintroducing millions of new readers and viewers to the amazing world that Peter created." Maybe a live action Last Unicorn movie could be in the works, or maybe or a limited series. I'm sure he's written plenty of other stuff too that could probably turn to stuff.
I have to wonder if we're not talking millions of dollars here. We're talking about $325,000 for breach of fiduciary duty and $7,500 for defamation. This is not, a fortune.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I agree.
This is money owed, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks because when what is it? They say justice justice postponed is justice denied. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
they hold on to your money and then they finally give it to you. You know, you've lost for not having that money all that time. You know, so this kind of stuff really bothers me.
Yeah, I hope things work out in the end. I mean, it's looking like maybe there's a happy ending to a long story. I hope he has a lot of years left to maybe, even continue writing again, or even just to reintroduce the world to his previous works. And just
at this point, I hope he just self-publishes for frick's sake.
Well, definitely do that. And like I said, check out his work. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm glad things. But like I said, I brought him up too because I'm thinking back to like when I knew I saw his news. I mean, this is like a month-old story. Actually, it's not brand new, but it kind of reminded me what's going on with all these other writers with the Disney stuff. It's so things can work out in the end, but it can take years, and that you may be really struggling during those years when you're trying to get back what's owed to you. I mean, lots of things can happen. It's just it's really sad. Okay.
Yep.
But should we go to the final story of the night?
Oh yeah, let's. We haven't been lectured enough. So tell us all how istophobic we are.
I cringe at this one.
I know, right?
Okay.
Let's start out by asking a question to the stream. Does anyone here know what environmental racism is?
I think I have an idea of what it is, but we'll go on. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and read the article. It gives away the answer.
The only green thing they want is slime. Children's and entertainment giant Nickelodeon is getting slimed online by conservatives over a recent Earth Day special discussing how pollution disproportionately affects communities of color. Learn the meaning of environmental racism, Nickelodeon tweeted Friday, along with a video of the segment, which currently boasts nearly 500,000 views. In the clip, part of Nick News series host Jamie Yukas discusses why certain areas face more health hazards than others. The CBS News correspondent chalks up the disparity to environmental racism, a form of systemic racism where minority and low-income communities are surrounded by health hazards because they live near sewage, mines, landfills, power stations, major roads. Examples range from the toxic air of the person of color populated South Bronx to a mining project in San Carlos, Arizona, that would dishonor an Apache sacred site per the clip. I'm sure they neglected to talk about the people living in the Ozarks and the stuff that fall out from all the mining operations.
This kind of stuff is no different than, I mean, Horizon Talker makes a great point.
Isn't this more of a class issue than anything else? Anyway, go ahead.
I'll get to that. But Horizon Talker says, China people burn lots of coal for power, so they can't breathe, and that's racist. Yeah. And this is no different than when we were complaining about deforestation in the Amazon. Well, when you kind of dig into it and you look at the economy there, these people are just trying to make money to survive. They don't give a flying flip about your rainforests, and they just care about whether or not they can eat tomorrow. So yes, you're absolutely right. This isn't about race. And the more they keep saying it's about race, the more disingenuous this is. Let me tell you something, people. The term racism, it's just become the new phrase for bourgeoisie versus proletariat. This is the new Marxist talking point. When they say racist, that's what they mean. Yes. So exactly what you said, Boomer. It's classism is what it is.
It's not,
and the problem is not racism. It's not because we hate people of color. It's because the rich are rich. The politicians you keep voting for allow this to continue, and they they say that anybody that disagrees with them is the racist. Sorry, that's not true. The people saying racism are the racists.
Do you notice that most of the people yelling at each other and calling other people this, they're the ones responsible for probably the things that are happening in these communities? Rosefire makes a point. If what Nickelodeon said was true, then all of Hollywood celebrities would have forfeited their homes to minorities so that they can live in eco-friendly areas.
Exactly what I said. Talk about hypocrites, right? You know, the same people that talk about how they work in an industry that needs to be more diverse. Good. Quit. Let somebody of color take your job.
I'm telling you,
they're not doing it. They have no problem. You have what's her name? Kathleen Kennedy's left-hand girl who used to work for Mr. Me Too.
Weinstein.
Leslie Headland.
Yeah. Talking
about the problem. The problem is, you know, all these white women. Have you looked in a mirror lately, bitch?
Wait. Can I read what say? Needless to say,
go ahead.
Needless to say, the PSA didn't sit well with right-wing viewers. I guess.
No, wait a minute. Pause right there. They're saying right-wing viewers. What they really mean is anyone that disagrees with this is right-wing, which is not true. Everybody that there's a lot of people on the left that get pissed about this kind of shit too, but they're being called right-wing.
Ooh, it says Nickelodeon's official account disabled replies only to be inundated by a vicious retweet storm.
Yep.
And here we go. Here's some of the retweets. Okay, with this, my family will never watch Nickelodeon again. Fumed one detractor. Keep your politics out of our kids' shows. I remember the good old days when Nickelodeon brought equality to the world by dumping green slime on anyone who professed their ignorance, wrote another critic. Remember those days?
Yep.
Townhall.com senior editor Matt Vespa lamented, remember the good old days when the network just aired Salute Your Shorts, Hey Dude, Rugrats, The Adventures of Pete and Pete, Rocco's Modern Life, and didn't peddle this left-wing drivel.
Yep.
Sad, truly sad. This is where we are, though.
That's why I wonder why J.J. Abrams lectures about the need for more diversity while keeping his own job. He should give his position to somebody. You know what? If you are a white male working in any position in Hollywood, in politics, in business, you should keep your mouth shut.
Well,
you should not be talking about these things.
You know, there's a big thing that his son got a job writing for Marvel Comics, like right after he made those statements too.
Yep.
Nepotism, you know, it's
so obvious. It really is. You don't even need to point these things out. We are beyond conspiracy theories now. It's right out there in the open. It's conspiracy facts, and it's conspiracies that are hardly even conspiracies. These have been open secrets going all the way back. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It's always been that way. It's never been a secret.
So you gonna be watching Nickelodeon anytime soon, or
I haven't watched Nickelodeon for years, and that's not just because I don't have kids anymore. It's because, you know, just like you remember how MTV used to be music TV, and now it's all, you know, cribs and, you know, reality TV. Same thing with Nickelodeon. There's nothing good on Nickelodeon anymore. Who's watching this crap?
I don't know. I guess the idea is the kids watch it and they get.
What's even worse is this is all cable TV. Nobody's watching cable anymore. They're all moving over to YouTube.
You know, thinking about this though makes me think of what we were covering the other week with Sesame Street.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for worse stuff to be going on with Sesame Street. You know, they're going to start piling this stuff on.
Well, I'm sure people are hardly watching that now that it's on HBO. It's behind a paywall. It used to be public television, right? If it's not public television, I don't want to hear your preaching. Okay?
Jim Henson never would have intended that for it to be behind like that. And he...
Oh, don't give him too much credit. He was in it for the money too.
PBS? Really?
He wasn't a PBS guy. He was a pay me guy. If he had the option for HBO back in his day, he'd have gone for it. He wasn't the sweet, loving, you know, lovey-dovey, hippy-dippy guy that people think
you know,
he
like,
was.
okay, well, all right.
In fact, when you really dig into some of his humor too, He'd have been totally canceled today for some of the stuff he wanted to
for
do.
certain. Well, we did that whole thing on how the Muppets is getting the trouble on Disney, the old episodes of the Muppets.
Oh, yeah.
I have to tell you, though, the Muppet movie's a classic, though. I still love it today, the first Muppet movie.
Honestly, the best peek behind the curtain on Jim Henson is you look at things like Dark Crystal and stuff like that. That's the stuff he really wanted to do.
Labyrinth.
Kind
of a dark film if you look at it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really want to do all of these kids shows and the Muppets and all that kind of stuff, but it made him money, so he kept doing it. He knew where his bread was buttered.
He knew which side his butt was breaded on.
You haven't even been drinking.
I know. One of these streams, I will get tipsy if I can ever do one of these when I have a day off the next day. It's ridiculous. Right? Hopefully my schedule will be changing soon. Anyway, and I don't know. This is just part of me Nickelodeon we haven't really covered on here, so I want to do it. But part of me, like, after a while, when this stuff just keeps happening, I don't even want to cover it anymore. Like, I mean, what's the latest thing they're doing to Luke Skywalker over in the high? I don't care anymore. It's like, I think there was even a new story. I'm like, I just don't care anymore.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, for me, it's just validation. I said this. We see it happening. The things that I've predicted keep coming true.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, the naysayers out there that are actually monetized on YouTube, you know, think who the hell they are. But the fact is, I've known all this time. If you've been listening to me, you know I'm right. Just saying.
Okay. Well, we're going to find out, too, what goes on with the whole Kathleen Kennedy situation. I'm very curious as to how Indy 5 is going to develop, because...
Well, I told you how that's going to go. And
why are they no Harrison Ford? I'm telling you, it's going to be something stupid that damages his eye, so he can. Actually, no, I predicted they would ignore the eye patch.
Yeah,
they would just
ignore
don't give
a crap about that guy.
They don't care about.
They'll kill him off, and the girl's going to be the hero. And he's, you know,
he'll have done something wrong too.
He's going to get
something he has to atone for.
Yeah,
and like I said, he has no family
somehow
anymore.
Me Too'd or something. And,
his wife and son got killed too, off screen. Okay, probably his fault or the fault of a drunken frat boy. You know,
and you know, anybody that asks, you know, Harrison Ford about it, be like, I just want to get a paycheck. I don't care.
Hey, show me the money. I have to tell you, I thought that was rather obnoxious. I told you this a while ago. I think I mentioned this before, but he was being interviewed for Blade Runner 2049. Like, what made you want to return to the role of Deckard? And he's like, well, show me the paycheck. And I'm like, you know, really?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't ruin the movie. He was good in the role in the movie, but you know, come on.
It's what it
respect.
Look, we all
a little
know
respect.
That's the truth, but you kind of expect, especially for an actor, you act even when it's, you know, you as yourself doing an interview. Oh, you know, I really respect the writer and the story and the lore and make it up. It's bullshit. You're in Hollywood. That's what you do. It's your job. He's just beyond caring anymore.
I think so. I don't want to see a humiliating death for Indiana Jones. Stop it. Stop it.
It's going to happen to James Bond. Why not Indiana Jones?
Remember Halloween 3? The end of Halloween 3 with, I forgot the actor's name, but the one who was in Creepshow. You know that actor. And he was on the phone trying to get the network to shut off the signal.
Yeah.
And like the third network, he got boo them to do it. Just trust me. You got to believe me. This is going to kill a bunch of people. Okay. Then he gets to Thursday. He says, it's still on. Please. You got it. He's like, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. That's what I feel like saying to the people running Hollywood right now. Okay. It's like,
and yet I'm the one who's sitting there who's been saying, stop it. And they don't stop it. And then when everyone gets dead, I just go, no, I did my part. I told you so. Nobody listened to me. Fuck you. Oh, well,
I know. Well, anyways, I thought this was not all bad this week. We had some good stories mixed in, but actually some sad stories. Like I said,
I'm telling you though, I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've been saying it for a long time. You know, it's going to get bad for a while, but eventually these people are literally signing their own death warrants, you know, in the business world. They cannot continue this way. And they are going to go, I mean, it's good if Disney isn't doing what is rumored to be happening behind the scenes, they will go bankrupt. It will happen. Yeah. Now, certainly they'll get taken care of by the government, and their friends in the proletariat, of course, will look out for them. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Okay.
It's really bad, and the rules of reality are going to come crashing in on people. It has to happen.
Well, it's always darkest before the dawn, right?
What goes up must come down.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. And you can call me an istophobe for that, but I'm sorry. It's like that Jewish boy always says, the facts don't care about your feelings.
Good old Ben Shapiro.
Yup.
Yes. Okay. Well, anyway, this was a good stream, and we'll be back next week. Any last words, Troy?
No, just try to look up, people, because things got to turn around eventually.
Oh, and keep in mind the stuff on the network. We are not going to be on Culture Fortress this week, but he's got some other guests on, and we'll be on there again. It's a cool little show we do with Mr. Magic. It's we talk about things like safe havens and this politically correct landscape where you can watch stuff that hasn't been tainted.
Even if it's just historic stuff that you guys might not have heard about, but us old farts remember. Things that you can look for these days. Friday, follow me on YouTube, Troy Pacelli. My channel, every Friday night, I do a drunk stream where we celebrate the weekend. We hang out together. We talk about something, don't know what the topic's going to be this week, but it'll be fun. I promise.
And then we're also going to.
Yeah, I know. I'll probably introduce a new drink. Right.
And you do a Saturday stream as well, right?
Saturday over on Big Al's channel. They'll be watching what will they? It's Martian May, so he'll be watching Mars Attacks on Saturday night.
And Birdman and I will be doing a special stream this Thursday instead of Wednesday, just because Green Lion Girl's wanting to be coming on to do a commentary with us. So we're going to do The Little Mermaid.
And you're missing out if you're not subscribing to Green Lion Girl.
Yeah, she does a gaming stream, and she can't come on when we're on Wednesday because she has her own stream. So, But like I said, and you could always, what is it? I don't know if he's doing anything else on Wednesday. If he's doing something with because we usually have other guests on with us too, like Leia Plus Size and Zatopia have been great guests on Soundtracks of Birdman. So we'll probably be on again in the future too. But anyway, it's a good night. And any last words, as I just said, but now we're saying it again. Any last words?
Any last words?
Any final last
I've said
words?
My piece.
Okay. Have a good night, y'all, and I will see you again next week. And hopefully we'll have some happy stories. There are some happy stories tonight, though.
Yeah.
Gina Carano, go ahead and watch that Bear Grylls,
whatever it is.
Bear Grylls show.
Yep.
I'm going to say sometimes the reality shows are more entertaining now. The nature shows are a lot more entertaining than anything fictional being produced these days. I'm just going to say.
And don't let anybody poo-poo it. Okay, we know that reality shows are still staged and there's stuff going on behind the scenes. It doesn't matter. Just enjoy it. Okay.
Oh, consider yourself lucky I wasn't there for Civil War. Was it the Civil War rewatch, Wolf 10? We can have you on sometime. Just let us know, okay? Well, that's the Birdman or whatever. Okay.
The North won. That's all I know.
Yeah. I might have had an ancestor that fought in the Civil War. We're not sure. Okay, Union side.
I joke, but I don't call it the Civil War. I call it the war between the states. Because the Civil War means somebody's trying to take over the government, and that's not what happened. The South just wanted to secede.
No, they were gonna take over Washington, I'm sure. Anyway,
no,
you know what's funny?
They only attacked Washington because they were trying to win a war to get away from them.
Well, that won't happen again.
Don't know. We'll see.
But by the way, I find it interesting that I was watching an Agatha Raisin episode one time, and the guy was writing a book on the Civil War, and I'm like, and they were having like a Civil War reenactment episode, and I'm like, oh, the Roundheads versus the Cavaliers, English Civil War. All right, y'all have a good night.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.